my name's Renee. I do a little bit of sewing here and there, and I have a bunch of baby blankets to do. So I thought I would bring you along and show you how to do one. In my opinion, this is the easiest baby blanket. I've only been sewing for a couple years, but this, in my opinion, is the easiest. So I was gifted a bunch of fabric from some sweet women in my life, and I thought I would use some of it to make some blankets for the hospital, not just for the infant babies, but also for the pediatric ward for some of the older children that are in there that need a little extra loving. So anyways, I just thought I would show you how to make one. I did this really pretty strawberry one. I'm in love with it. I almost hate to give it away. It's so soft and cozy. But the front obviously is strawberry, and it's got this minky inside. When this is complete and done, it ends up being a 34 by 34 blanket, which is a great size for an infant, and they'll be able to use that for a good while. So there's that. Let's get to it. What you're going to need for this project is 2 yards of fabric. You're going to need, in my opinion, nursery flannel is the way to go when you're doing infants, and then 100% cotton is the way to go if you're doing anything older than, you know, a year, because nursery flannel is so soft and against their skin. So this is 100% cotton, but it's a nursery flannel, so it's got a little pretty fuzzy to it. It feels so nice. And then the backing that I'm going to use for this one is a nice fuzzy, almost like a fleece. It's got a little thickness to it, so I won't have to put any batting in the center. And that's what you want to look for if you want to make this the easiest project ever. You want to look for a thicker fabric like the minky, or a thicker fleece to do for the backing. If you choose not to do that, that's fine. But you'll need to put a batting in the center if you choose to do like 2 pieces of 100% cotton or 2 pieces of the nursery flannel together. You'll need like a batting in there, cut at the same size or a little larger, to give it stability and make it thicker and just cozy. So for this one, I went ahead and I pre-cut this. I do apologize that you can't see the whole thing. I'll try to get some shots of that as we go, but I cut this. Actually, what I did was, let me just tell you what I actually did. This top fabric that's thinner, the nursery flannel, I cut it at 36 by 36 inches. And then I took this piece and I put it over top of this fleecy type fabric, and I cut around it, because the second piece doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be perfectly cut, because you can use the first piece as your guide when you sew, and I'll show you that when we get to the machine. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your pretty side facing up on your surface. In my case, it's my kitchen table, because my kitchen is my sewing room. I don't have a sewing room. My house is very small. So you can see this is the pretty side. This is the side I don't want when the project is done. So we're going to put pretty side facing up. And then we're going to take our other piece of fabric, in my case, my nursery flannel. And I'm going to lay that the pretty side to pretty side. So your project, when you look at it right now, should look really backwards, but that's exactly how we want it to look. Okay, you're just going to spread that out. You can pin it or clip it. I personally pin it. Amazon has these clips. These are amazing for most projects. I use them constantly, but for these types of blankets, I do like to use just a pin and pin around the perimeter of the blanket. And that's what you're going to do right now, is just go ahead and pin all the sides. Okay, so now I have everything pinned all the way around. What we're going to do before we take it to the machine is we're going to mark about a 6 to 7 inch space that we don't want to sew when we get to the perimeter. So I'm just going to do a big X with a pencil. You can use a fabric marker. I don't have any. Pencil works just fine. I wouldn't do a pen just in case it would bleed, but pencils work. You see, it's just, I marked it with an X. So I know when I get to those spots, do not sew it. Okay, so I'm at the machine now and I'm just gonna turn it on. So I'm gonna leave it on its default settings. I'm not even gonna change any of the settings on it. I'm gonna start at the corner and I'm just putting my presser foot down and I'm just gonna follow the cut that I know is straight and measured well. And I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna back stitch actually, okay? And then I'm just gonna start sewing. I'm gonna follow that edge. And I started on the side where my X's are so that I could show you where to start and stop. You see, I'm just following that line. When I get to my X, I'm just going to do about, I don't know, 3 back stitches. It's probably excessive, but I'm an excessive person when it comes. I'm gonna leave my needle here. I'm not gonna move it. You can, it's not gonna hurt anything to move it, but it just gives me peace of mind that my fabric's not gonna move. I usually don't remove the needles until after I pass through them with the machine. So then when I get to that X part again, I'm just gonna put, go ahead and take that out. 1, 2, and then I'm gonna backspace 3. I know, it's crazy. Okay. And then I'm just gonna go. And then when you get to your corner, I'll show you what to do, but it's not as complicated as you might think. You're literally just gonna pivot and turn. So when I get to the corner, I'm gonna backspace. And then I'm gonna just pivot my fabric where I know the edge of the foot is gonna line up. And then I'm just gonna keep going. So I will show you where we're at once I get everything sewed up. Okay, I'm back. So now it's all sewed up. So now you're gonna have what looks like these strings from where we left the opening. We're gonna cut those off. Okay. Now, you can see where I have all this extra overhang from this in my sewing line, and then I have all this. This has to come off before we flip it. So, sorry, I'm country, so I don't know how to do all the proper video things. I'm just trying to show you how to sew, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do is just cut all that down. Doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure you cut it off. Some people say you should cut off the other bulk too, like go all the way down here. I don't do that personally because I have done it in the past and it didn't turn out well for me. I actually ended up cutting the thing, and honestly, because I do a double top stitch, which I'll show you, I don't really feel it's necessary because I actually think it makes the blanket look nice and poofy. That's my personal opinion. It's okay if you cut a little bit of that. It's not going to hurt anything, I promise. You just don't want it to look too wonky because this fabric will probably show through a little bit on the back. I'll show you what I mean by that when we're done, but if you got it all jagged and stuff, you'll be able to see it. Some people will also tell you to cut your corners out. I feel like the corners are you need support in the corners, and when you cut the corners sometimes, and I do cut the corners on some projects, just not this one, but sometimes when you cut the corners out, it weakens them a little bit, and because I'm doing a top stitch, I don't know, I just personally don't do it. And I'll show you how I flip them out to make sure we get a nice crisp edge on it without cutting it. Okay, so that's done. So now we're going to find our opening, which I don't know why it can be so hard sometimes. Look for your X's if you need to find it. And we're going to just pull them out. Now I was telling you about the corners. So when I get to the corners, I take my thumb and I roll it up and I make sure that my thumb is nice and tucked up in there. And then I pinch it with my index finger. And when I flip it out, I get a nice corner. So I don't really feel like for this blanket that it's necessary. And I do that for all my corners. And it works out just fine, in my opinion. If those aren't sharp enough corners for you, then by all means, cut the corner and do your thing. Because I really believe the more that I sew that it's really about finding what works for you. I break a lot of rules when it comes to sewing world because I've taught myself. So when you teach yourself, you kind of just go with what feels good. It's the same thing. See, I'm just sticking my thumb up in there and I'm just flipping it around. And that corner is just fine to me. All right, so now we got it flipped. Aww. First thing we're gonna do is find that opening again. You do not have to do it this technical, but I love the finished product to look really nice. So what I like to do, and I do use the clips here, I don't use the pins. I like to take the pieces and make sure that they're lined up like this, so that when you're looking at it from the front, it's got a nice crease there. And I start a little bit before that opening and come right to the edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing before I do this part here. I'm going to do the same thing. Everybody does this different. Some people eyeball it, some people crease it before. This is just how I do it. You do what feels right to you. I just find that if I do it this way and I put it where I want, it falls in place better, so that it's a decently straighter line. I also have fabric glue, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I actually use fabric glue to close it, then sew it just as a reinforcement. I'm not going to need to do that here. So I'm going to actually do this the whole way around so that everything looks nice, and then I'll take you back to the sewing machine and show you how to finish it. All right, let's finish this baby. So once again, I'm just going to turn my machine on. I'm going to let it do the default settings to make this as simple as possible. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to take, I like to start this side that has that opening. So that's where I'm going to start. I have my pin right here. So as I go, I pop them right back in there to keep everything nice and neat. And once again, I'm literally, my sewing thing there is not being nice to me. Okay. I'm literally just going to start about an inch away. I'll explain that here in a minute. From the corner. So my needle's going down. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm like this far from the edge of the fabric. So when I start, I'm going to 1, 2, and then do a back stitch. And I'm just gonna, once again, see how the edge is lined up with my fabric. I'm just gonna follow the edge. And as I go, I'm gonna take out those clips. And this doesn't have to be perfect. If you have a little piece that gets out a little bit, I promise you, when it fluffs out, you're not really going to be able to tell it anyway. Only you'll be able to tell because you did it. So I'm just going to do this one side, and then I'll show you the corner. You don't have to clip them either. You can technically eyeball this part, but honestly, this is my process. So I'm gonna stop about a 1/2 inch away from the corner, do one back stitch, go back forward, and then I'm just gonna lift up my presser foot, turn my fabric, and put it back down. And then just continue from there, and then I'll come back to show you once I get all that done, when I get to the end there where we didn't come the whole way through. All right, I'm getting close to that corner where we started 1 inch away from where we started. I'm on the end of it, I'm on that corner. I just wanted to show you why I do it that way. You don't have to do it that way, it's just the way I do it. But do you see how on the other corners, when they come down through, there's not a line that goes up? It's literally like just the corner. So I start 1 inch down like that, so that when I come around and go down, all of the corners will look like that. Because if I would have started all the way up the top, you would have had an extra line there, and I personally don't like that. So that's why I do it that way. So what I do is I come to the corner just like I did on all of the other ones. When I come down, I do one little back stitch and then forward, and then I lift up my presser foot, I turn it, and I make sure before I do it that those seams are matching up perfectly. And then I come down through, and then I do a few back stitches here. Now, you can be done here. Most people are. I like to do a double top stitch because I think it's pretty. But now all the corners match, so all of them have the same look to them. So I'm gonna do a double. You don't have to do this, but that's how I'm gonna do it. Or do a double, so this time I'm gonna come down once again about 2 inches from where I start. So all those, well, I'm gonna match it up with this seam, and then I'm just gonna follow, I'm just gonna sew a second round, if you will, the whole way around, following this seam. And when I'm finished, I'll show you what it looks like. Yay, we're all done. Oh, it's so pretty and it's so soft. I'm so excited to be able to gift this to someone. I hope that, is it perfect? Absolutely not. But was it made with love? Absolutely. I just hope that they know, whoever the recipient of this is, that they are loved and they're enough and they're going to be okay. But this is that double stitch I did. You can't really tell in the front in the camera. Just adds a little extra, but you can tell in the back here where it's been double stitched. And I don't know, I just like it. You don't have to do that part. But we're all done. I hope you found it easy. I do plan on doing some more tutorials. Please be nice to me. I haven't done a lot of tutorials and I am not tech savvy, so all the things that I do is just because I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully I'll learn as I go, just like I did with my sewing journey. I would love to share what I've learned, and if you're interested in sewing, if you have any constructive criticism for me, bring it on. I'm all about growing and learning, and I just hope you have a blessed day. And now, if you don't mind, I got 3 more of these to make. Have a blessed day.